How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Theme Park Shark podcast. We are doing Shark Stop today with Alicia Stella. A really fun episode, guys, because, well, the curse is over. And I'll tell you exactly what I mean by that. This week, Universal Orlando announced it officially that Kidzone will be going away at Universal Studios Florida. Some things are safe, some things are not. Of course, I have Alicia Stella here with me to talk about it all. So, Alicia, welcome back.
I will believe the curse has been lifted when I see the demolition begin on this area. I am not entirely, and even with the rumors we're hearing, I'm not exactly sure we can even say the curse is lifted. Maybe 50% lifted.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. But yeah,
yes.
It kind of started with the Dreamworks destination taking over a day in the park with Barney like last year, because for 20 years, the Kidzone at Universal Studios Florida remained unchanged. Like, despite how children don't recognize. Look, I love Fievel Goes West, okay? I'm a huge fan of An American Tail, Fievel Goes West, the sequel to An American Tail. Bluth Studios, great film, Amblin. But kids have no idea what this is. It did not last the test through time, and kids have no clue. So fine. But what's weird is that Universal actually announced something a good few months in advance. And I guess it's so that parents can plan their vacations accordingly, because this is like the big area for kid stuff. I am a big fan of Curious George Ball Factory. I think that's a hidden gem back there in the back of Kidzone. And kids love it. And there's like no height requirements for the play area.
Yep.
So it's very interesting that they didn't announce what's replacing it.
Yeah, and in terms of where that's at this point, what have you heard? What haven't you heard? Were you surprised when Universal made this announcement? Like, did this one actually catch you even off guard, or where were you in terms of this announcement?
There's been some rumblings. I actually put out a video and an article back in July. I called it the Dreamworksification of Kidzone, because there have been some rumblings that there's been some success with the Dreamworks destination and now the Shrek and Donkey meet and greet in that area, which were temporary additions. I think that they've been successful enough to maybe prove that it's worth continuing to take over that area. But we should mention that the only areas that have been officially announced to close are Fievel's Playland, Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster, Curious George Goes to Town, and Dreamworks Destination and the Donkey Meet and Greet. That means E.T. Adventure is safe. The SpongeBob store is safe. The place where we get our pizza fries is safe. And yes, Animal Actors is safe. So, like, there's been so many rumors over the years for things that would take over Kidzone, and Super Nintendo World, when it was going to go there, would have taken over Animal Actors and left SpongeBob and E.T. Pokemon was going to leave Animal Actors. This seems like the later plans, where they're going to leave Animal Actors, but everything from E.T., like from behind E.T., and is gone. So don't worry. They just revamped E.T. They brought the pine scent back. So we don't worry, Spielberg. It's okay.
I've seen so much about this pine scent, and if people are saying it's been changed or it's been the same, you've gone on record and said it's what it used to be, right?
I mean, yeah, you can't say it's the same scent, because for the last 15 years that hasn't been on. Like, so like we've been smelling like mildew and water for so long that we think that's the scent, but it is the scent that they used to pump in the 90s, or at least a good recreation of it. So
sure,
it's back in all its glory. It actually smells like a pine forest and not just bromine water. Like, I am excited to have the actual scent of E.T. back, but anyone who's younger than me might not remember it, because we're used to the lingering leftover scent in that building.
Kind of sad when we're complaining that we don't smell of mildew anymore. But I haven't been in a little bit now, so I'm excited to get out back to University of Florida and smell the scent of the 90s. And the Donkey meet and greet is just not really catching any sort of break right now, is it?
I know, it just reopened after being evicted when Monsters Cafe closed after Shrek 4D closed, and they keep telling us, "Don't worry, Donkey's going to stick around." And it's like, but now does he get another temporary place for a year while they rebuild this area, and then he gets it because it was temporary, but it was done really well. So, like, he had a beautiful stable. Like, I hope that he gets another temporary home in the meantime.
I can't wait to hear Donkey's thoughts on that. He's just been being put all over the park. So if he does get another spot, would love for someone to ask him what's going on.
But yeah, I think I've come to the conclusion. I've come to terms with that. I think this is DreamWorks. I definitely don't think it's Pokemon. What's interesting is that in
don't
the
hurt
official,
my heart like that.
Well, I that doesn't mean Pokemon's not coming. I just don't think it's coming here.
Okay.
Universal did say that they will begin work on bringing exciting new family entertainment to Universal Studios Florida that will immerse guests in the adventures of beloved animated characters.
There's beloved animated characters in Pokemon.
That's not where they originated, though. It's not.
Right.
It doesn't count.
Okay.
They have like taken over all media, so it doesn't count.
Fair.
I think when I heard that, I was like, okay, is it DreamWorks or Illumination? And they've already got so much Minions going on at the entrance to the park with the new Minions Villain Con, still unannounced, opening next year in 2023. It makes sense, like I said in July, that DreamWorks would just take over this area. And plus, there's been plans for DreamWorks to take over Kidzone like for 10 years now. So I wonder if this was the thing that could finally like break the curse.
It makes sense. It puts another, Steven Spielberg kind of led property next to another one with E.T., which is kind of interesting in terms of like everything happening at DreamWorks.
That's true. He was one of the original 3 founders of the company, SKG.
Yes. Something I've also found kind of fun is imagining Secret Life of Pets next to animal actors.
Yes, that's another one too. Like, if they were to build like a hodgepodge thing with different animated characters, sure, you don't have the Minions because that's at the front of the park, but there's Sing and Secret Life of Pets, and that ride, the immersive dark ride, would go really well over there.
So that's been something on my radar. I'm glad you've already shot down Pokemon because I'm with you on that. I don't think Pokemon makes sense. I really like the idea of pets over there just because of animal actors. So I wouldn't mind that kind of addition, but I don't know how realistic that is for this time. And it seems like from what I'm hearing, and I'm not sure if this is what you're getting on your side as well, but it sounds like almost just a re-theme and kind of a reimagination almost of what we have now under, I guess, the pretense of new characters. I could be totally off. That's just what I think had thrown at me, but that's
what the internet seems to believe. It only took sleuths a couple hours to parse it out, but I did back in July say that the plan was to re-theme the Fievel's Playland area, to re-theme and keep the Woody Woodpecker coaster, maybe even keep the theater intact for sing-along stuff, but to lose the back half of the area and expand out and build a dark ride to anchor the area. Trolls Dark Ride, the last I heard, I think using the same layout ride system and everything from Secret Life of Pets, but doing a Trolls ride was one idea they were thinking about. But it looks to me like what they've decided on is they want something for 2024. They want something fast, but they also want to revitalize this area with characters that kids actually know. So I think re-theming all the existing stuff and adding more permanent meet and greet locations within it is the current plan. I could see Shrek finally getting like a new home here, whether it be re-theming one of the areas or their coaster. I could see definitely Trolls, which is very popular these days, sells a lot of merch. And then Kung Fu Panda or Madagascar, which they have floating meet and greets at Islands of Adventure in various parts. They're in the holiday parade. So I think there's a desire from Comcast to get utilization from this property in the parks since they acquired DreamWorks years ago. And like having its own home. Like when they put up the sign for DreamWorks Destination, I was like, I'm taking this as a sign. Yeah. So
no, I think just kind of like what you're mentioning too, like whether it is like a floating meet and greet or even something like DreamWorks Destination that just kind of was like put in almost on the spot. It seems like we've had clues and kind of little just little nuggets of information that we can take even at this point that kind of lead us to believe and kind of show us like what makes sense ultimately for a more permanent addition. And I will say this as well. If they are going the fast route and just kind of going the retheme and revamp route, how appropriate is that though for Kidzone? Because it really kind of almost isn't going away, but it is.
Right. That's why I said I think
so
it's
odd.
a half removal of the curse. If the structures still stand, was the curse really lifted?
I don't think so. I think it remains.
So, but also like, I haven't heard any specific rumors for what would replace what, but I will mention that trolls are the size of a mouse. I'm just going to throw that out there if you wanted to keep some motif going for that front half of the area.
Yep.
But also, if they really do have, like this is closing, January 15th will be the last day to experience these attractions. So they have maybe a year, maybe a little longer than a year if it's closing in January 2023 and they want it to be open by 2024. And Universal has proven they can do a lot in a year.
Yep.
So while it still may be 2 play areas, a roller coaster and a theater, it doesn't mean it has to be like look the same or be the same shapes. They could tear down more than we think. Like the roller coaster itself will stay, and maybe the layout of where the play areas go will stay, and they'll still do like a water play area in the back, but it could look completely different because they have more than enough time to redo everything like completely.
Are you sad about this? You can be honest with me.
I am not.
You're very proud about that.
I've spent a lot of time in Kidzone in the last, since 2017 when we thought Nintendo was taking over. I've got so much footage. Like, oh no, there's another rumor of Kidzone. I'm going to go get some fresh footage. So I've like every year for 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, for 5 years, I've gotten footage in this area and I've spent time in this area. And I tell you what, since DreamWorks Destination came and especially since Shrek and Donkey came into that area, it's been revitalized. It went from like a dead zone to being a fun area. Like the meet and greets, the characters out front, and the dance party atmosphere. It's really revitalized. Like, and then people, like kids are actually playing in the play areas. Of course, I've always liked the ball factory, the ball pit area with the guns is so fun. So that's always got some kids playing. Kids love splash pads. So like, it's something that kids can do that doesn't have height requirements, and it's kind of needed in that park. So it's not like I'm sad there's not a giant e-ticket for me being built there. I know that kids need something. And I like DreamWorks. So for me, it's like, I never thought Fievel would be replaced. Like in my wildest dreams, like it's a fixture in the park, and it's kind of an eyesore at this point. Again, I was the biggest fan of Fievel Goes West. I could quote that movie. I'm telling you, it's weird, but I'll be happy to see it go. If I'm walking over to ET and riding ET and I see like a Shrek swamp play area, I'm gonna smile because that's, to me, that's more timeless than something like Fievel.
I like that it kind of does right by the fact that we just lost the ride too, giving Shrek another actual like permanent and fleshed out fixture within the park. It seems like, and you can tell me if you're noticing this as well, over the next 24 months or so, that Universal Studios Florida specifically is really kind of angling and taking care of kids in that park between Villain Con and now this.
Yeah, no height requirement for Villain Con either, probably, because it's not a ride. As long as you're able to stand on your own, you'll be able to go on this experience. And the park needs more of that. At this point, besides play areas, really all we have are shows that are not geared for children. Born and Makeup Show are not child friendly. And we have E.T., which, let's be honest, is kind of terrifying. So like there's not much for kids to do except the Kidzone. So I'm glad to see them, catering. And from the hardcore fans that are like big Universal fans that want more for them, I want them to understand that there needs to be more for kids too. So Minions Villain Con, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's for the little kids. And anything where you get to use a zapper and like earn points and minions are there, it's gonna, like, the kids are gonna be happy with it. I just want to remind everyone that I do believe Pokemon is coming. That's all. I just want to say that it will happen in Universal Japan first. And there's been some delays over there because of the situation in the world. So I want to be patient. But we're getting Super Nintendo World in Hollywood next year. We're getting Super Nintendo World at Epic Universe in 2025. And I think once those are set, Pokemon is going to be on the table. So until then, you know, let's enjoy some characters that we're all familiar with taking over an area that you kind of needed it for the last 20 years.
Sure. No, correct me if I'm wrong, but they announced first a parade going over there, right?
Correct. That'll be the first time Pokemon will appear in a Universal Park.
Got it. And then, so if they are technically going to be first for anything else, do you think that they're going to get something as fleshed out as we would receive in the States, meaning a full-on world, or will they just get an attraction? Am I getting ahead of myself and we're not even going to get a full-on world? Like, how would that shake out and look? There
are rumors that they would get some form of entertainment or interactive experience or both while they're working on a ride or a land. And then after that, they would get a ride or a land, depending on, there's competing plans because they're limited on space on what they could do. But whether it's a retheme of an existing ride or a tower ride that's very skinny so it doesn't take up much space, I think that instead of a land, Japan might get more of a whole park experience, like the wands, but you can find Pokemon everywhere. Like, I think there's a way to incorporate it without needing a lot of space. But when it finally does come stateside, I think Orlando's going to be the one that gets the more fleshed out land. I just don't think it's going to Kidzone anymore. I think we might get it somewhere else.
Well, a lot to be excited about, whether it's University of Florida, whether it's Islands, whether it's Epic, whether it's abroad. There is a ton happening at Universal, and we're going to be doing everything we can to stay on top of it and keep discussing it with you guys. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap up today's episode. If you guys want to catch more of Alicia Stella, she has the Theme Park Stop on YouTube. She has the Park Stop podcast as well, and she is Alicia Stella on Twitter. If you guys are looking for more from the Theme Park Shark, you can find our podcast on Apple and Spotify. We are at themeparkshark.com, and of course, the Theme Park Shark on YouTube. But all right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode of Shark Stop. As always, I appreciate you guys being here and for listening and or watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Have a great day, and we'll see you guys in the next one.